Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. These people truly are despicable. I mean, next level despicable. Of course, we call the Democrats and the Democrat Party the party of lawlessness. But when we go through moments like this, it's truly astonishing just how far they're willing to go to completely ignore the rule of law in the pursuit of imprisoning their political opponents. We've seen it since the start of Donald Trump's administration. We've seen it in instances like with Kyle Rittenhouse, for instance. They don't care about the facts. They just want their political opponents' lives destroyed, and they cheer it on before the information, before the evidence is even clear. I mean, that is truly disgusting. I mean, it's sociopathic to celebrate in the demise of your perceived cultural and political opponent without any probable cause or real evidence. You have to be a truly terrible person to do something like that. But of course, when it comes to the left, it's basically par for the course. And well, you guessed it, the mainstream media, especially MSNBC, is cheering this on as a momentous, historic day. Well, not so fast, leftoids. You might be in once again for a serious wake-up call, and that's the interesting juxtaposition over here, folks. While MSNBC is cheering, it seems as though other leftists are panicking that this whole thing might backfire, with good reason, because of course we've seen it happen in the past. So let me give you guys an update of what's going on and let's analyze both sides. We got some stuff to cover, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, I'm sure you guys have been on Twitter. I mean, I don't need to show you every single tweet, but the basic fact of the matter is, the left is ecstatic with the FBI's raid on Donald Trump's home. They've been waiting for this moment. They've been hyping themselves up for this moment for years. The partisan coverage at MSNBC and other networks is exactly what you might expect.
The FBI has raided the home of the immediate past president of the United States. It feels both astonishing and sort of inevitable in equal measure.
Perhaps the orange jumpsuit is forthcoming.
I think the national democratic reaction is hallelujah.
Let's pause for a second to look at how weird and horrible this is.
One day, my two daughters will read a history book where today goes down as weird and horrible.
Tomorrow is the day when you're going to want to buy the physical copy of the newspaper. You're going to want to buy it and fold it carefully, maybe put it in a little archival paper or parchment if you don't have that.
They're celebrating the raid on Donald Trump's home. Rachel Maddow is going as far to say as you should wrap today's newspaper in parchment and preserve it. She's probably going to frame it and put it up on her wall. I mean, the fact that she's even on air in the first place shows how excited and happy she is. I mean, she's been living in the forest, LARPing like a lumberjack for the past couple of months. Yet Donald Trump's home gets raided and all of a sudden she announces that she's going to be live on air at 9 p.m. The overall tone and the overall demeanor of these leftoids is frankly something that every American, I think, should be disgusted with. They don't care about the rule of law. They don't care about evidence. They care about destroying their political opponents. I mean, this is the type of stuff that you see in communist regimes. Taking down the other side, cheering on the state as it does so, regardless of whether or not you have evidence. This is fundamentally corrupt and un-American. I mean, any normal human being's reaction to the raid of Donald Trump's home should be very simple. Should go something like this. Whoa, they raided Donald Trump's home. That's crazy. What's the cause? What was written on the warrant? Where is the evidence? But instead, what we see from these leftoids is cheering as if it's the greatest day in American history, when it's clearly one of the darkest, or potentially one of the darkest. Something is fundamentally wrong with this mind virus, this anti-Trump mind virus, this Trump derangement syndrome that has people acting this way. But you know what, leftoids? Keep cheering on. Keep getting excited and clapping like a bunch of seals. Erf. Donald Trump's definitely going to jail this time, because in the end, you might end up looking like a bunch of dummies as this whole thing turns against you. You are potentially cheering on a total political overstep from the DOJ and the FBI that might seriously backfire. And here's where it gets real interesting, because of course you have the vote blue no matter who Rachel Maddow viewers who are clapping like a bunch of damn seals. And then you have regular fair-minded individuals, many of which who are Democrats or anti-Trumpers. We haven't seen this guy's name or face in a really long time, with good reason. I'm talking about Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York, but even he can see the obvious. Andrew Cuomo writes on Twitter, "The DOJ must immediately explain the reason for its raid, and it must be more than a search for inconsequential archives, or it will be viewed as a political tactic and undermine any future credible investigation and legitimacy of the January 6 investigations." Absolutely correct. And here's Andrew Yang. "I'm no Trump fan. I want him as far away from the White House as possible. But a fundamental part of his appeal has been that it's him against a corrupt government establishment. This raid strengthens that case for millions of Americans who will see this as unjust persecution. Here's Joel Pollack, who's an anti-Trumper. I'm on the record as preferring an alternative to Trump in 2024, but this raid will make many people like me rally behind Trump for all of his flaws to stop the abuses of power by federal law enforcement, intelligence services, military brass, and most of all, Democrats in Congress. You may be cheering like a bunch of damn seals, vote blue no matter who, Rachel Maddow crowd, but if it turns out that the FBI actually had nothing, if it turns out that the FBI was just trying to retrieve inconsequential archives, as Andrew Cuomo puts it, then you're in serious trouble. Donald Trump is already viewed as man versus machine, as the guy who's standing up against the establishment for the American people, for unheard American voices. If the situation happens where this was an unjustified raid on a former president's home based on garbage evidence, Donald Trump will no longer just be a candidate for the people. He will be a martyr for the people. A man who endured political persecution from a corrupt, politicized DOJ and FBI, and a man who is now fighting for the presidency to take on the whole system. And so cheer all you want right now, but it might be a little bit of an early victory lap, and in a couple months, Rachel Maddow, you might be looking like this on air once again. But of course, that could never happen. Watching all these blue check marks all over Twitter, all you keep seeing is the same narrative over and over again. The FBI doesn't serve search warrants on innocent people, Greg. I keep seeing all over the place that the FBI or Merrick Garland would have never, ever applied for a search warrant. A judge would have never signed off on a search warrant if there wasn't rock solid evidence of a serious crime against Donald Trump. Really, that's your argument, leftoids. What about that phony FISA warrant based on absolutely salacious information back in 2017, which even the FBI's Andrew McCabe is on the record saying, if we had the information that we had today, well, that FISA warrant would have never been signed off. I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen unjust investigations. We've seen unjust raids. We've definitely seen unjustifiable warrants. And so these purposely blind Democrats, these Democrats that are walking around with blinders on, pretending as if these federal agencies have an absolutely perfect track record, is a complete joke. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's 100% that the DOJ has absolutely nothing. I mean, it's totally possible. And also, I mean, we've seen the lengths that they're willing to go to. Even if they have nothing, I mean, they might just come up with something and Donald Trump might face indictment. But I think regardless of the situation, their preemptive cheering shows who they are. And I also think that this is somehow, some way, one way or another, going to turn around and bite them in the behind like it always does. If they somehow miraculously get Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis or possibly even someone else is going to smoke them. Republican enthusiasm is going to be at the highest levels ever. And if it turns out that this whole thing was just a continuation of the partisan federal witch hunt against Donald Trump, well then they've created a martyr, they've created a political hero. Donald Trump is going to be more powerful than ever, and we're going to relive this moment. My warning to all these vote blue no matter who Democrats, don't get too excited too early. You might live to regret it. That's what I got for you guys in this video though. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you're up for it. I'm going to get back to work though. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.